Evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Oh, there he is. Doesn't look so sad.
Good evening, everyone. My, it's still a little bit light and I can see what a horrible looking audience. Oh, tell me, sir, how did you get so ugly? Oh, I'm sorry, lady. Oh, on these cold October Hoosier nights, what a wonderful time we've had coming together. And of course, we'll take some of the nip off the air as we watch Warm Bodies very soon. But first, I would like to find out who here has traveled the furthest away to come see Sammy Terry here at M.E.L.S. Starlight Drive-In. If you think you've been the furthest, tell me from where you've come. Bloomington, Indiana. That's a little ways away. Is there anyone that's come further than Bloomington? Now, of course, you'll definitely have to be able to prove it with your driver's license, your state ID card, or perhaps from the looks of some of you, your prison release records will be fine. Bloomington, Indiana. Is there anyone further than Bloomington, Indiana?
West Lafayette.
West Lafayette. I think Bloomington has you beaten. It sounds like Bloomington is the furthest. If you can prove to Mike over here that you've come from Bloomington, Indiana, most certainly you'll win a Sammy Terry tote bag to tote home all of the body parts you pick up from what's a carnivorous shenanigans on the screen. Every Halloween, as long as you can remember, has been the living place of Sammy Terry, for it is my birthday. And again this year, on October 31st, on Halloween night, when all of you get back from trick-or-treating, you must lock your doors, bolt your windows, and turn on your television to Channel 4, WTTV, for at 10 p.m. you will be able to watch Sammy Terry once again introduce you to terror. You'll get those spine-tingling shivers up your spine as I introduce to you at 10 p.m. one of the greatest zombie films of all time that kicked off our Warm Bodies and our Walking Dead, the movie Night of the Living Dead. It's been very rare that WTTV Channel 4 has been putting Sammy Terry on, for everyone always asks, why are you not on every Friday night to share with the next generations the terror that you and I lived for so many years since 1962? Being that most of the programming is all programmed in Chicago from Tribune Broadcasting, who owns Channel 4, they don't deviate with local broadcasting. So unfortunately, they will not commit to a weekly show. But with enough fan support, and if the ratings hold up on the specials I do have, I'll be bringing more Sammy Terry to your generations in the future.
Yay!
We've got a very special guest here tonight. You see, Sammy Terry has fans from everywhere that he's ever been, but one tends to tag along everywhere after Sammy. And this, at M.E.L.S. Starlight Drive-In tonight, is my last public appearance before I do my Halloween special on Halloween night. Robert from Kokomo has come over and brought something very special that you'll be able to take a look at when he brings it up. He has followed Sammy Terry for decades, and through all of those years, he's got a very special prize that he has. You see, he follows me and gets my autograph at each and every location that I perform at. Would you like to see his poster with all of his signatures?
Yeah. Wow.
dozens and dozens. Oh, the history through the years that Robert has collected is probably one of the Grace Chronicles that's available of Sammy Terry's ventures. And he's probably one of the most authorities on Sammy Terry knowledge. Therefore, the rest of the games that we play this evening, he's exempt because he knows all of the answers. Thank you for once again tagging along, Robert. Looking over this crowd, I can see that your dedication to horror must be strong to come out in these frigid temperatures. And as the sun goes down over the horizon, who knows what's going to be creeping out of these woods that surround you this evening. And to set your mind, to set your spine, would you like to hear a horrible story?
Yes.
Very good. You see, many, many years ago, Sammy Terry used to take wonderful excursions all over the world. Perilous journeys that mortals can't usually survive. I was treated to as a day event. And on one such journey, I went into the deep, deep African jungle. Now we were looking for anacondas, or maybe some new spiders for some extra webs, for my fiend back in my dungeon to help him make my cobwebs. But on this journey, we had to be very, very careful. For you see, there's a danger in those African jungles that's far worse than what you'll ever encounter at any zoo in the world. You see, it's not the anacondas, and it's not even the lions. It's man. But not any man. You see, it's the cannibalistic headhunters that live there. For when they descend upon you, they don't act as the wild beasts. No, they can strategically track you down. They can hunt you for miles, wait for that opportunity, and lunge upon you, take you back to their tribe. So we had to be very, very careful. And given to me, to keep me, the precious cargo, safe. I was given an 8-foot-tall Watusi warrior bodyguard. And there he stood in his royal regalia, his headdress, his spear in his hand, and his mighty machete sword at his side. Well, I felt very, very safe going into the jungle with my 8-foot-tall Watusi warrior. And off we went. Beautiful vistas did we see. Waterfalls as tall as the sky came falling down around us. We went through marshes. We went through very swampy areas. We saw the crocodiles. We saw the anacondas over the head. And then we heard the drums. Boom, 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 boom. We knew we were in danger, so we quickened our pace. Faster through the jungle we trekked, until we saw the rustling all around us on all sides. The jungle was coming alive. The branches were twisting. They were snapping and breaking. We knew what was about to happen, and then it did. Dozens and dozens of carnivorous, head-hunting cannibals descended upon my safari. One by one, my whole menagerie of people in my safari were being killed and hauled away. Looking at all the numbers dwindling smaller and smaller and smaller, my Watusi warrior, standing at my side to guard me, knew what he had to do to protect my little life. You see, he picked me up. He put me under a very large log, covered me with reeds and vines and branches, and then took his post with his spear to protect me. Well, when all the rest of my safari was all wiped out, all of those head-hunting cannibals turned their attention towards my Watusi warrior bodyguard. And they came at him one after another. He took his mighty fists and beat them off, hit them with his spear, took his mighty machete, whacking at them as hard as he could. But there were too many, for they came upon him like a swarm of locusts. They covered him up and knocked him to the ground. They took the branches and they took the vines overhead. They twined them around his body, wrapping him so tight like a cocoon that he couldn't even wiggle his little finger. Then they picked up his mighty body, put him on his shoulder, and carried him off back to their village. Now you can possibly imagine I was a little bit nervous at this point. So I stayed there until the pitch blackness of night descended upon me. And when it was quiet, and I felt I was alone, I crept out of my hiding place. I made my way back out of the jungle and back to the safety of Sammy Terry Castle. But I never knew what had happened to my 8-foot-tall Watusi warrior bodyguard. Until one day, there was a knock at my door. Thank you, Robert. I told you he knows what he's doing. And when I answered the door, there was a very young missionary man standing there. Now that doesn't happen very often at Sammy Terry Castle. So I asked him what he would be doing there. And he said, "Sir, before you throw me into the pit, please let me explain. For I had gone to Africa." He explained how he had converted the entire tribe, and when so doing, their hearts were so cut with guilt that they shared with him all of their exploits and their greatest trophy that they had on their shelf. And then he explained to me what had happened to my bodyguard after he had been hauled away from me. You see, they took his body. They had wrapped him. They beat him mercilessly so he couldn't move. They dismembered him in each part of his flesh. They divided up amongst all of the tribe. Oh, they feasted on him for days, boiling his skin off of the bone, making succulent stews and all kinds of crock-pot type of cookery things. Until all that was left was his head. And using their black magic and their voodoo, they took this massive 8-foot-tall Watusi warrior's head, and they shrunk it down to the size of a doll and placed it on their shelf as their trophy. And as the missionary told me, he took a small box out from behind him and presented it to me and said, "Mr. Terry, you may have all that remains of your bodyguard." I took that box from him, I opened it up, I looked at that Watusi warrior. I knew exactly what I would do. I took out a chain, I whittled it through his ears, I placed it around my neck, and ever since then, I have worn him around my neck as a reminder of the very first Sammy Terry fan to lose his head over me. I told you it was horrible. Does anyone have any questions for Sammy Terry? There is so much mystery around Sammy, and as I mentioned, Sammy Terry came to the Hoosier State in 1962. So you and I and your generations have had plenty of time to wonder. Who has a question for me?
Where's George?
Yeah.
The number one question that everyone asks. And was that the question you were about to ask as well? Everyone asks, where is George? Now I understand we've got some people who might be a little bit younger than some of the other old-timers here. So you might not know who George is. You see, George is my very best friend. He hangs around with me almost everywhere I go. But unfortunately, he's not here. But before I tell you where he is, you younger people must understand what he is. Who can tell me what George is? Go ahead, yell it out.
Spider.
That's right. You see, George is my pet spider. That's why he's always hanging around with me. Well, right now, George is back in my dungeon. And of course, if you have not already heard, my dungeon has been temporarily relocated to the Children's Museum of Indianapolis. And you can go to the Children's Museum through the month of November. You can see my actual coffin. You can see my actual Frankenstein that I drink my typo cocktails from. The original portraits that have always been on the walls of my dungeon are there on the walls of my dungeon inside the Children's Museum. And of course, The one particular accoutrement of my dungeon that gets the most pictures taken is George the spider. And he's hanging there, making big sticky cobwebs so you can see them. And in fact, when you all hunker down into your tall black chair on Halloween night at 10 p.m., my Halloween special was actually taped from the Children's Museum dungeon. It'll be a very interesting thing for all of you to watch. Does anyone else have any other question for Sammy Terry?
How old are you?
How old am I? My, how rude! Many people wonder. For you see, in 1962, Sammy Terry looked very much like this. And now, in 2013, almost 14, Sammy Terry still looks very much like this. So you would have to ask how old Sammy Terry, and I'm going to tell you exactly how old Sammy Terry is. If I only knew. For you see, when Sammy Terry was born, no written record was kept. And I was too young to remember. Anything else that anyone would like to know?
What were some of your favorite movies that you shared with us over the years?
Some of my favorite movies that I've shared throughout the years. Well, let me do a little bit of a trivia question here. This will be for an autographed Sammy picture from my merchandise booth. If you can tell me, other than the Robert, tell me the very first movie in 1962 that Sammy Terry hosted. You can take some guesses. I won't beat you if you're wrong. No Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Night of the Living Dead.
Night of the Living Dead did not come out for 6 more years in 1968.
The Mummy?
Mummy. Very good, sir. And you've got an autographed picture, whichever one you'd like, from the table. The Mummy was Sammy Terry's very first movie that he hosted. And when you ask some of the other favorites of Sammy Terry, I would have to definitely tell you, Sammy Terry likes all of the classic horror movies. The ones like The Mummy, The Werewolf, The Creature from the Black Lagoon, and of course, Frankenstein's Monster. Those movies that actually get into your head, that let you imagine what's going on. When you see someone taken down, you see the shadow on the wall. You don't see all the blood and gore that you get on so many of the movies today, that leave nothing to your imagination. For there is nothing more chilling nor frightening than realizing that what's happening on the screen might actually happen to you. And those classic horror movies allow you to use your imagination. Those are the ones that I most appreciate. Any other questions for Sammy Terry?
Were you born a ghoul, or were you bitten by a vampire, or how did you come about as being a ghoul?
Many people ask about the origins of Sammy Terry. Was I just a mere mortal like all of you with normal blood flowing through some veins? I would have to say that Sammy Terry has always been as Sammy Terry has always been. Just as you have always been as you've always been. For better or for worse. Well, let me tell you a little bit more about how you and I can stay connected through the years and months ahead. You see, in 2014, Sammy Terry's going to embark on a statewide tour, doing the Sammy Terry Nightmare Carnivals. There'll be day-long events from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., where you'll be able to see all kinds of paranormal type of things. I'll be doing other stage shows, matinees. In the evening, we'll be hosting movies just like we've always done in the the past, and we'll have some kind of a zombie walk or something with werewolves or dead animals in the middle of the day to entertain you as well. So you'll have to watch the SammyTerryNightmares.com website. There I'll be posting all of the events that will be coming up. And how many of you have ever heard of that new little thing called Facebook? And how many of you have liked the Sammy Terry fan page on Facebook? Very good. I always love to see those hands. That's the quickest way to learn all about Sammy. For when something comes up, it gets posted there first, and then we actually update the website. So make sure that if you're on Facebook and you haven't liked the Sammy Terry fan page, that you do it as soon as you get home, or do it from your little smartphone that might make you feel dumb. There's so many other things waiting for us and coming up. Except, I would like to set the mood a little bit. You see, I think here at M.E.L.S. Starlight Drive-In, now that dusk is upon us, I believe we need some screams. And I would like to find out if we could crown a Scream Queen tonight. Who would like to become a Scream Queen for Sammy Terry? You come over here with, there you go. You come here, and I need one more. Who else? Who else?
Little girl there.
I need one more. I've got to have 3. He can be a Scream King as well. Right here. Very good. Thank you. All 3 of you come right up here in front of the beautiful blood red lights and turn around and face the ugly audience. Now from up here, aren't they horrid looking?
Yeah.
Very good. Now tell me, my first contestant, what is your name?
Sophia.
Sophia. And where do you come from, Sophia?
Brookson.
Brookson. And what grade are you in?
5th.
5th grade. You said before. Was there a question about that? Okay, very good. Tell me your name again. Sophia, right? Was it Sophie or Sophia? Sophia. I'm not sure about that one either, are you? Okay, very good. On the count of 3, when all of these ugly people yell out the 3, you're going to give us a blood-curdling scream, okay? Very good. Count with me. 1, 2, 3. Very good. Nice job, Sophia. Let's hear it for Sophia. And what is your name?
Brandy.
Brandy, you're looking quite beautiful this evening, Brandy. Take a step forward so people can see the beautiful countenance of this face. Brandy, are you ready to scream for your life? Oh, very good. On the count of 3, I want you to give us a blood-curdling scream. 1, 2, 3. Horrible, wasn't it? Very good, Brandy. And what is your name, young lady?
Tracy.
Tracy, and are you ready to try to be our Scream Queen tonight?
Yes, I am.
Very good. On the count of 3, count with me, audience. 1, 2, 3. Wow, very good. And your name again was?
Tracy.
Tracy. We had Tracy, we had Brandy, and we had Sophia. Would you like to hear them scream one more time?
Yeah.
Of course we would. Are you ready to give one more try and then we will vote? Very good. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. Are you ready, Brandy? 1, 2, 3. Very good. Are you ready, Tracy? 1, 2, 3. Oh, very good. I do have to say, the extra echo around here really helps it out a lot, doesn't it? By a round of applause, I want you to clap for who you would like to be crowned our Scream Queen tonight. Would it be Sophia? Would it be Brandy? Or would it be Tracy? Very hard to determine. You're all so polite. Nobody really wants to give it all for anyone. How about we do one community scream and we make them all scream queens? How about that? So ladies, as you crowd around the microphone, on the count of 3, all 3 of you in unison give us your scream. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Very good. Horrible. Well, for participating in my Scream Queen contest tonight, each one of you is going to get your pick of a DVD out of the Sammy Terry classic movies. They're all classic horror movies that are in the Nightmare Theater DVD collection. We've got 9 different volumes to choose from, as well as some coffin box sets that come with extra segments from the early 1980s Sammy Terry TV shows. But you'll have your pick of any of them over there. Just see Terrence or Mike at the table, and you can pick whichever ones you want. Thank you very much, Sophia, Brandy, and Tracy. Well, I want to remind all of you here at M.E.L.S. Starlight Drive-In that with the conversion over into the digital formats, M.E.L.S. needs all the support that they can get to be able to make that conversion, to continue to give you the wonderful experience that Hoosiers have had for generations, which was the outdoor drive-in experience. So as you're considering your year-end giving this year for contributions, consider surviving something that needs to hang in here as a Hoosier tradition and help M.E.L.S. Drive-In. You can give your contributions online with credit cards, or I'm sure at the box office they're happy to take whatever contributions you have. And before I say goodnight for my very first stage show, which I will be back after Warm Bodies and we'll have some more fun, I want to thank you all for being here. Make sure you check the SammyTerryNightmares.com website and like me on Facebook. Make sure each and every one of you are watching Halloween night at 10 p.m., the Sammy Terry Night of the Living Dead. And of course, I wish you all many pleasant nightmares. I'll be right over here to sign autographs, meet and greet you. Thank you.